Hi dear. So we have completed the transportation in animals. So we'll move to the transportation in plants. Okay. So in case of small lower plants like algae and bryophytes, the transportation is taking place. That is exchange of materials, everything, gas, liquid, water, minerals, everything takes place through diffusion process. That is enough. Okay. In plants, in lower plants, in case of lower plants, the material passes in and out of the plants through diffusion. That is enough. But in case of higher plants in the case flowering plants or the cells are modified, right? It contains some vascular bundle. In case of higher plants, a separate system, that is vascular system, okay, independent channels, that is nothing but the channels, it means it the tubes, conducting tubes or vessels, okay, pipe like structure, okay, it is present, that is xylem and phloem is present in the higher plants, okay. In the case of lower plants, diffusion is enough to pass the materials in and out, where in case of higher plants, a separate channel is required, because diffusion alone is not enough to transport the water or minerals or gaseous and or this food, okay. So in higher plants it has separate channel, that is called xylem and phloem is present, okay. There are three aspects of transportation in plants, okay. What are the three aspects of transportation here? It is movement of gases is taking place, movement of water and mineral is taking place, movement of food material is taking place, right? So all these three aspects, so all the three aspects are taking place in the transportation. First we'll see the movement of gases. That is how the gases enters the plants. It enters the plants through the stomata, right? Stomata, that is a pore present in the leaves. Most of the spores are present below the leaves and some of them present in the on the leaf also. Through the stomata, it is controlled by the guard cells, right? So through the stomata, from the atmosphere, it enters through the stomata, and by diffusion process, it reaches all parts of the plants. Okay, wherever it is required, the exchange of gas is taking place through the diffusion, and it enters the plant through the stomata, right? It's a small opening in the leaf, right? So this is how the movement of gas is taking place. And how about the movement of water and minerals? So water and minerals, from where the water and minerals plants take? From the soil. From the soil only it will take the water and the minerals, because this photosynthesis alone will get glucose is alone is not enough for the growth, okay. You need more minerals like nitrogen, phosphorus, etc., right? For the growth of the plant. So it will take the water and minerals from the root only, right? Sorry, from the soil only, right? So from the soil it has to transport to all the parts of the plants, right? So it has to move in this direction, right? It has to move in this direction, right? So it is starting from the root to the tip, okay. So it is moving in this direction. This is carried out by the xylem tissue. So the vascular bundle contains two types of tissues, the xylem and the phloem, and the xylem is responsible for carrying the water and minerals from the soil to all parts of the plants, okay. Clear on this? So it is carried from the ground to all parts of the body, right? So it is taking place in only one direction. The movement of water and minerals is taking place in only one direction, that is your upward direction. Clear? Next, movement of food materials. So movement of food materials, where food is prepared? In the leaves, right? So this is a green part, so it contains chlorophyll. The food is prepared here, right? So all the parts of the plant is not preparing food. So the food for the stems, branches, roots, everything need food, right? So it has to be transported, right? So it has to be transported. So some of the food is needed here, so it has to be transported here. Some of the food has to reach the upper part of the plants, so it has to be transported up. Okay, for example, from the leaf it has to be transported up, or from the leaf it has to be transported up. Okay, both way the food has to move upward as well as downward, as well as in the sides also. Okay, so it is required in all the direction. So it's movement of food is taking place in both the direction, upward and downward, and also in the sidewards. Okay, so this is carried by the phloem. This is carried out by phloem tissue. The xylem tissue helps in movement of water from ground to all parts of the plant. So it's only upward direction movement of the water and minerals is taking place, whereas phloem helps in the movement of food material. It takes place in both the direction, upward as well as in the downward, right? So we will see in detail about the xylem today. In the next class we will see about the phloem. Okay, xylem. So in the 9th standard itself we have studied about xylem, right? What is xylem? Xylem is a complex permanent tissue. Okay, permanent tissue. That means what? It attains some definite shape. And it is meant only for one particular function. So it's going to perform only one particular function. Okay, so but it is very complex because it's having some made up of 4 different cells. Okay, so it is a complex permanent tissue found in all parts such as root, stem and leaf of the higher plants. Okay, it is made up of 4 types of cells, that is your tracheids, vessels, xylem fiber and xylem parenchyma. I said already it is a permanent tissue, and so it got some definite shape. Okay, here it is modified. In the cells you will have some mitochondria, a nucleus, everything will be there. This xylem is mainly made up of dead cells. That means there is no organelles present in the cell. Okay, everything is modified, and these tracheids, vessels and xylem fibers are made up of dead cells. Okay, only the xylem parenchyma is made up of living cells. It has some nucleus. Okay, so in detail you have studied everything in the 9th standard. I will just give one few recaps. Okay, so all these 3 are made up of dead cells. So usually the xylem is mainly made up of dead cells. Okay, this tracheids helps in the vertical transportation. It is a tubular section, tubular structure. It has some pointed ends. For example, it will be like this. It has some pointed ends. Okay, and vessels is also a tubular structure, but it has some end-to-end connect. It is kept in the row manner or column manner. It will be connected like this. Different cells will be there. It is connected in this manner. And then xylem fiber. It is also a dead cell, but it helps in the supporting. It gives the mechanical support to the cells, and also help support in all the functions. Okay, xylem parenchyma, it helps in the sideways transportation of minerals and water. Okay, and also it stores food materials. Okay, starch and starch, glucose, everything. Starch will be stored in the xylem parenchyma because it is the only living cells. Okay, so this in the small plants you will have some cells, and it contains organelles and all, and it gets modified, and this organelles are absent and the organelles are moved, and it becomes a dead cell, and it will have some pipe-like structure. Nothing will be here, so it becomes a pipe-like structure. Through this pipe water is conducted from moved from the ground through the root to all parts of the plants. Okay, next, how it is raised. We said in a plant, for example, in a plant, here I said this, it is a modified structure. It is a tube like structure. So a tube is here, but how come this against the gravity water is raised inside this pipe? Okay, this is what we are going to study now, and this is happened with help of two mechanism, water movement mechanism in xylem, that is through transpiration and through root pressure. Okay, water movement mechanism. We have studied about the xylem. Xylem is responsible for transporting the water and minerals from soil to all parts of the plants. Okay, right? So how the water is moving upward? By what mechanism it is moving? Okay. The first mechanism is transpiration, and second one is root pressure. By these mechanisms only the water is moved in the upward direction. Okay. So what is mean by transpiration? So I mentioned here transpiration during the daytime it dominates. Okay, two mechanisms are involved. During daytime it dominates, transpiration dominates, and during night time the root pressure dominates. Okay, so what is transpiration? Transpiration is nothing but process in which involves loss of water through the stomata of the plants, right? Water loss. What this transpiration will do? So we said transpiration is a loss of water through the stomata. So we'll have this through the stomata. For example, this is the pore, right? From this pore, I am exaggerating this point. That's only tiny pores. We cannot. I'm just showing it big to show that how the process is taking place. Okay, through the pores water will escape, right? Water molecules H2O will be escape. Okay, the molecules will be escape, right? The molecules will be escape, but it has some bonding, right? H2O, H 2 times H, and it is bonded with hydrogen, oxygen, right? It will be like this. So when it is moving, it attracts due to the bonding, it will pull the other molecules. Okay, it will not stop when one of the water molecule is escaped out of this. Okay, so it because of this bonding, it will pull the molecules. Okay, once you suck some water, what happens? If you in a juice bottle, if you start sucking this, it will continuously coming, right? It will continuously coming, right? Likewise, because of the bonding of the water molecules, when one of the molecule is escaping, it will attract the other molecule. So this is your xylem solution. For example, it is connected like this, means so because of the suction, one molecules will attract another and it will pull. So you will have the veins like this. So it will it will pull the suction. A suction is created, it continuously it is coming out. Okay, during daytime the more loss of water will be there, right? So because of the transpiration, it creates some suction, pull, suction pressure or pull. So it will bring the water upward from the root to all parts of the plants. Okay, because it ended with the leaf, right? And also, if the weather is very hot, because of this evaporation, it will cools, it makes the body cool, it makes the plant cool, very cool, like how we are getting sweat and it makes our body very cool, right? Likewise, it helps in the suction of water from the root to all parts of the body. Okay, and also it helps in the temperature regulation of the plant. Okay, so this is how the transpiration is taking place. Okay, here. That is the importance of transpiration in transportation. It helps in the absorption and upward movement of water and minerals dissolved in it from root to the leaves. Because of the suction, because of the bonding of the water molecules, it pulls the water from down to up, right? It helps in the absorption and upward movement. This is very important. Upward movement of water and minerals. This in the water, the minerals are dissolved, right? Both the minerals and water are moved upward from root to the leaves. Okay, and also it helps in the temperature regulation of plants. That is, loss of water from the plant cools the plants down when the weather is very hot. Okay. Okay, so during daytime it will happen. When it is night, there is no heat. That much of evaporation will not be, loss of water will not be there during the daytime, right? During the night time, that much of loss of water will not be there. So there will be a lagging in the transportation of water and minerals. And who helps in the continuation or the continuous flow of water through the xylem in this station? During night time, the root pressure. During daytime will also the root pressure will be there, but most of the transportation is taking place due to the transpiration mechanism. Okay, for example, 80% of is carried out by transpiration and 20% of the movement of the water is carried out by root pressure. Okay, during night time there will not be much loss of water, so there will not be much transportation. Okay, so the root pressure will take care during the night time. Okay, root pressure. What does mean by root pressure? I'll explain and then I'll come to this part. Okay, this is your ground level, and you have the stem, and we have some roots, right? It will be like this. Okay, okay. I'll exaggerate this portion and I'll draw like this. For example, okay, this is the end. Okay, so by using its energy, what will happen? You will have a xylem tissue here, right? Present here, right? It will try, minerals are present here. Minerals are present in the soil along with the water. Along with the water, minerals are present. Okay, what happens means this xylem tissue, it will absorb all the ions. So what happens? More ions will enter this. It uses its energy to absorb all the mineral ions inside this. Now the concentration of the minerals is more here and it becomes very less outside this. Okay, that means, see, since only there is few ions are there, this is become dilute solution. Okay, dilute solution. Inside the root, it is very concentrated. It is concentrated. Concentration of ion is more. Concentration of mineral ions is more. Okay, by nature it is not acceptable. What is the nature? What is our nature? We need to balance this. Okay, everywhere it should be balanced. The concentration is more here, and it will not allow again. It will not, the tissue will not allow the ions to pass out again. Okay, it will not allow. So to make it equal, here it is dilute solution, here it is concentrated solution. So to make it equal both outside and inside, what will happen means osmotic, due to osmotic pressure. Osmotic pressure. Osmotic pressure is nothing, osmosis, a pressure will be created, that pressure called osmotic. What does it mean by osmosis? Means movement of water molecules. What is that? Movement of water molecules from higher concentration to, higher water level concentration to lower water level. That means here only less water is present, so it is concentrated, more ions are concentrated. So what, to balance it, water only, during osmosis only water will move from one place to another. So from the diluted solution, from lower concentration to movement of water molecules from lower concentration to higher concentration. Okay, movement of water molecules from lower concentration to higher concentration. Once the water enters, because of this pressure, it creates some pressure inside the root. Okay, because water is also entering, right? So because of this osmotic pressure, what will happen? So water is entering here means, so this much of water is here, here also water is entered. So since more water is entering here, same concentration of ions is there. So for both inside and outside, both the same concentration will be there. To maintain the concentration, same concentration inside and outside, so along with the ions, the water will also absorb. Water will also move from outside and to inside the root cell. Okay, so it creates some pressure inside the root, that is called your root pressure. Okay, so because of this continuously, what will happen if something is pressurized here? See, here now water is pressurizing and enter this cell. What happens? It will increase the pressure. Automatically it will move up. Along with the ions, water is moving up. Clear? Moving up. Okay, so this is nothing but your, what is that? Root pressure. Okay, so during the night time it dominates. During night time, how the water is transported? Through the root pressure only. Okay, so all these pressures, all this movement of water is requires only low energy. Okay, only it will take slowly only, because it is stationary, like animals, it is not moving, right? It is stationary, so it will take time to take up. So it moves slowly only. Okay, because it needs only low energy, because it is stationary, it does not require that much energy. So slowly it will take the water and minerals from soil to all parts of the plant. Clear on this? When the mineral ion, now you will study what is root pressure. When the mineral ions from the soils are actively transported. Actively transported means it needs some energy to absorb the ions. Okay, so the cells are very active and it helps in the absorption of ions into the xylem tissue of the root. Along with that, to maintain the concentration, because once the only ions are absorbed means, then more concentrated, more concentration of ions inside the root. Okay, too. In the outside, it will be very less. To make it equal, that there is some pressure, that is your osmotic pressure, that is movement of water molecules from lower concentration to higher concentration to make it equal. Okay, so water also moves along with the mineral ions, thereby increasing the pressure inside the xylem. Okay, and so what happens actually? Finally, it is responsible moving the water in the upward direction. Clear on this? This pressure is known as root pressure. Clear? I hope you understand. So we are seeing what are the transportation in the plants. Three aspects of transportation is taking place in the plants, that is movement of gases, movement of water and minerals, movement of food materials. Movement of gases taking place by diffusion, and movement of water and minerals carried out by xylem, which is in only one direction, that is in the upward direction, whereas in the movement of food is taking place in both the direction, it is carried out by phloem. And we have studied in detail about the xylem tissue, that is, you can see the vascular bundles only in the higher plants. Okay, not in the lower plants like algae and all. Okay, so in the algae and all, it is enough, it can movement is taking place through the diffusion, that is enough. Okay, so it is a complex tissue, and we have studied the types of cells. It is mostly made up of dead cells. So permanent tissue itself, it's said it is meant only for one purpose. There is no living cells in that. It act, and also one more thing, when the I forgot to say that, this, when transpiration is taking place, right, continuously it will suck the water. Due to this pressure, if you pull the empty water bottle, if you suck the empty water bottle, it will crush, right? It will be crushed like this, right? Okay, this crushing of the xylem tissue is protected by this xylem fiber. It's a mechanical support for the xylem tissue. Okay, because of this sucking pressure, it may collapse. Okay, but it is avoided by the xylem fiber. It helps in the mechanical support. Okay, and continuous flow of water, that which flow of water because of the root pressure as well as by the transpiration, it makes the xylem tissue very strong. Okay, so it is a modified cell. It meant only for transportation of water and minerals. Mostly it is made up of dead cells. Only xylem parenchyma is a living cell. It stores food. Okay, it stores food materials and helps in the sideway transportation of water. Okay, these tracheids and vessels are mainly for vertical transportation of water. The sideways, the xylem parenchyma will help, and two mechanisms are involved: transpiration and root pressure. Transpiration taking place during the daytime, and root pressure is more active during the night time. Okay, transpiration, because of the bonding of the water molecules, it will pull the water molecules. Okay, it will pull the water molecules. Along with the water molecule, minerals will also be pulled, and it helps in the temperature regulation. And root pressure, the difference in concentration, to make it equal, because by the osmosis process, the water will also move absorbed along with the ions. Okay, so ultimately a pressure will be created, so it helps in the upward movement of the water along with the ions. Okay, thank you. We'll see the phloem in the next class.